Hello again everyone, and welcome to my second tutorial video for Warframe. The first video covered the introductions, so I won't do that again. So let's get straight into it. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 different topics. What the icons on your UI mean, advanced movement, important controls that weren't covered by the first video, how to distinguish friend from foe, which was requested by a viewer, and the mastery ranking system. So if you've been playing for a little while, you've likely looked at your UI and wondered what is going on there. What information are you being given and why is it important? Luckily, most of the UI is quite simple. You have a map in your top left and your health and shields in the top right. Blue is your shields. They will regen after a little while of not taking damage, even if it hits 0. The red bar is your health. When this reaches 0, you are downed and need to be revived by an ally. If you go down and are playing solo, you will immediately die and be offered a revive at a cost of 10% of your required affinity in that mission. You can revive yourself if you have allies, though it's best to wait for them to revive you so you don't lose that affinity. Regardless of playing solo or playing with a squad, you have 4 revives total in a mission. If you lose them all, you will either fail the mission if you're playing solo, or you will have to spectate your allies while they continue the mission. In the bottom right of your UI, you will have a lot of information, so let's break it down. The bar that is under the icons is your energy bar. The more full it is, the more energy you have. You can tell if the bar is full if it is fully white. If you want a proper number for your energy, that is just below the bar. Above the energy bar is your ability icons. The one highlighted blue is your currently selected one. If you use the numbers to use your abilities, it doesn't matter which is selected. You can, however, change power with scrolling the mouse wheel. The button to use that specific power is unbound by default, so you will need to bind it. If you want to bind it, it is called Use Selected Power in the controls menu. To the right of your energy bar is a circle. This relates to a spoiler later in the game, so I can't share that here yet. The Warframe community tends to try not to spoil the quests as they are so game changing most of the time. Above all of the previous bars and numbers is your currently equipped weapon. The number on the left is your current magazine and how many bullets you can fire before you need to reload. The number on the right is your total bullets left for that weapon. You will pick up more ammo while playing, so don't worry too much about running out. Below the ammo counter is the name of the weapon. On the right of the name is normally a number. This shows the level of the weapon. The bar below the name shows the current affinity for your weapon. Like the energy bar, the more of the bar that is white, the closer it is to the next level. On the bottom left of your UI is the chat box. There are multiple chat tabs and it will be something covered properly in another section of another video. The middle of your screen, if you're in a mission, will show you your aiming reticule. Most weapons have a dot in the middle of the screen, which is where your bullets will go when fired. The dots below it show your currently selected ability. So, in the first video we covered the basics of movement. How to move around, roll, jumping, double jumping, crouching and sliding. In this video, I'll be talking about bullet jumping, wall movement and a mid-air roll. Bullet jumping will cover a lot of distance in whatever direction you look, even straight up. To do a bullet jump, hold control while moving, look where you want to go and jump. If you jump while sliding across the ground, that is enough to do a bullet jump. This is the main way that I do them, as it gives you a few extra seconds to adjust your view to where you want to go. If you're quick, you can tie multiple bullet jumps together to traverse the map very quickly. Wall travel is a pretty simple but very useful tool in the movement system of Warframe. The easiest way of wall travel is to just jump at a wall while moving and hold the spacebar while holding your forward movement button. It should start you on a wall jump going straight up the wall. It doesn't do too well when it comes to overhangs though, so you would likely need to combine it with other jumping abilities to get further. Another wall travel trick is the horizontal jumping. Similar to going vertical, start off by running at the part of the wall you want to jump across, and while you're moving, look towards where you want to go, jump onto the wall and hold spacebar, similar to the vertical jumping. A mid-air roll takes a few things we've already learnt and puts them together. To roll in mid-air, you will first need to be doing a bullet jump. While you're still in the air, do a normal jump, then tap shift while holding W. If you time it correctly, you should roll in midair. That wraps up our movement part of the video. By combining these movements, you will be parkouring across the game very easily. In the first video, I went over some pretty basic controls to play in the game. In this one, I'll be covering some other important controls that I wouldn't consider basic. These are things like melee channeling, something that can be very important but is not required in order to play the game. The things we'll cover here are melee channeling, in-game voice communication, getting the player list to appear, bringing up the map, and seeing the current mission progress. First off, melee channeling. It's not required to use this to kill enemies, though it does help. Melee channeling at its most basic form means that you will use your Warframe's energy to boost your melee abilities. To do this on PC, you will need to hold your left mouse button while you have your melee weapon equipped. Remember to hold F or whatever you change the button to bring it out. While holding the left mouse button, your weapon should glow according to your energy color. You will see a flash of light on your screen and hear a small noise. Some frames also have glowing parts on their skin when you channel. As long as you keep holding the left mouse button at this point, you will be channeling. While channeling your weapon, you do 50% more damage with melee attacks, as well as an additional 50% to any damage over time effects from inflicted statuses. Every hit you do against an enemy while channeling those will take 5 energy from your Warframe. There are some mods that will boost your channeling damage with the drawback of an increased energy cost. As of the 23rd of June, which is when I'm writing this script, we know there is a melee change coming that will include channeling. I will put out an updated video when this happens and when we have the information. Warframe has its own in-game voice comms, though it is rarely used in my experience. If you want to talk to people in your squad, holding C will activate your push to talk. You can change various settings for the voice chat under audio in the settings menu. You can even totally disable it if you don't want to have it going, or maybe are a parent whose child plays but don't want them talking to random strangers. To bring up a larger version of your minimap, just tap M while you're in a mission. Tap it again to minimize the map. Sometimes you might just want to see the health and shields of your allies. Sometimes you might want to check how much reactance they have in a Void Relic mission. To see this information, press Z on your keyboard or Z. This will bring up some information in your top right, showing you health and shields of your allies. This can be very useful if you're playing a more support-based frame like Trinity. If you want to see how your mission is going, or how much affinity your weapon has gained, press and hold the Tab button. It will show your affinity gains for your Warframe, weapons, and companions, plus the companion weapon if they have one. This menu also shows stats about your group, things like most kills, items picked up, abilities used, etc. If you see one that is highlighted orange, that means that person has the highest amount of that stat, unless it's something like damage taken, in which lower is better, and that will be highlighted instead. Having the best in a category does not give you extra rewards, however. After the first video was uploaded, a fellow streamer pinged me in Discord suggesting that I cover how to tell what is an enemy and what is an ally. Their comment was this. Something to cover, in my opinion at least, would be how to identify enemies versus friendly minions. I know our group had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what was actually an enemy versus a summoned pet or something. That's the only basic thing that's missing that I found personally very confusing. I think this is a very good point, since there are generally a lot of things happening on screen when you have a full squad, which can be confusing. The easiest way of telling who is who is by looking at your aiming reticule. If it shows up blue, then they are an ally. If it's red though, you better hit that fire button because that is an enemy. Another way of telling this is to check the health bar above their head. If it's another player, they won't have a level. If it's an enemy, they will have a level. In regards to summoned pets or companions, you can use the reticule color most of the time. If you see a pet running around that does not have a blue marker on the map in a similar area though, there's a good chance that they are not friendly. Another way of telling if a companion is a friend or enemy is knowing the enemy types. There are two animal companions of the Grineer that will attack you. The first is the Drakh. They are reddish-black mixtures of a dog and a boar. These creatures are summoned by the Drakh Master. They will likely charge at you, making themselves an easy target. The other is the Hayeka. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. A Hayeka is a pale, hairless version of a Kavat. They resemble a large, hairless cat. They are summoned by a Hayeka master, and are not immediately aggressive when summoned, requiring a command by the master before they will attack you. The Corpus have many variants of the Osprey enemy. Ospreys are the companion of many different Corpus units, and they resemble a drone with a weapon attached and can spawn in large numbers. Some of them will aim mines, some will do area of effect damage, some shoot at you with lasers, while others will fire at you until their shield drops and you damage their health. They will then charge at you and explode if they manage to get close enough. Even after everything said so far about determining who is the enemy and who is your friend, there are some instances where you will be allied with the Corpus or the Grineer. These times are almost exclusively in an invasion mission. In these missions, you will either be fighting the Corpus, the Grineer, or the Infested. If you are fighting with the Corpus, you will either be fighting against the Grineer or the Infested. The opposite goes if you are fighting with the Grineer. You will never fight with the Infested. Okay, so this part may be very confusing, but I will explain it as best as I can. Mastery rank basically shows how progressed through Warframe you are. Since the game has a limited number of things to level up, it does technically have an endpoint, at least as far as weapons and frames go. Digital Extremes are adding new weapons and warframes quite quickly though, giving us more to level. You get mastery points for every level that you gain on a weapon, warframe, Archwing weapons, companions, sentinels and sentinel weapons. You also get mastery points for completing junctions and each mission node on the map. Reaching level 30 on a weapon, sentinel, warframe or Archwing will give you 3000 points at 100 per level. Reaching level 30 on a warframe, companion, sentinel or Archwing will give you 6000 mastery points at 200 per level. Defeating the enemy frame at a junction will give you a flat 1000 points. Keep in mind that if you level something to level 30, then use a formula on it to reset it back to rank 0, it will not give you the mastery points again. Even if you sell the item, then rebuild it, you will not get the mastery again. A different variant of a weapon will give its own mastery, disregarding the other variants you may have leveled. For example, a Boltor's mastery counts separately to a Boltor Prime, and both will give you 3000 points. The same rule applies to different breeds of companions. If you sell an item before reaching level 30, then later rebuild or rebuy it, only the previously unobtained levels will give mastery points. Once you acquire enough mastery, you can take the mastery test to try to level up. As you can see, I am currently mastery rank 19, which means I've done 19 of these tests. Each test will test you on a different skill or scenario. For each test, you have 3 attempts per day. If you fail, it will start a 24-hour timer till you can try again. Using a relay though, you can practice any test you completed and the one above your current level. Go to Cephalon Samaris' room to access these. They are in the walkway to the right of his room, just inside the door. If you have the mastery to do a test but don't do it right away, any mastery you get before you do your test will be added to your next level when you get there. Leveling your mastery rank gives you a few bonuses. Firstly, as you level up, you will unlock the ability to get certain weapons. For example, to be able to build and use the Opticore, which is a giant laser cannon, you require a mastery rank of 14. If you purchase a Prime Access Pack for real money, any weapon or warframe mastery restrictions are ignored and you can use the equipment immediately. This also works for any marketplace pack that puts weapons straight into your inventory. Another bonus of leveling your mastery is an increased daily trading limit of 1 per rank. Also, every rank you get will unlock a point of mod capacity on a weapon. Normally, you would get 1 point of capacity per rank the weapon has. However, your rank can boost it earlier. For example, I am rank 19, so if I have a weapon that is rank 3, instead of starting with 3 mod capacity, it starts with 19. There are other bonuses to leveling your mastery, though they aren't super useful for a very new player. Right now, there are 30 ranks of mastery, although a player can only get to 25 because there are not enough items in the game yet. This will be increased over time as DE adds more items to the game. The practical required limit to mastery rank is 16, as this is the required level for the mod with the highest mastery rank requirement. Weapon requirements max out at 15. That seems like enough for this video. As always, hopefully this helps some new players or some veteran players alike. If you have further questions, ask in the comments and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I hope you guys learned a thing or two, and I'll see you in the next video.